All good people are appalled by the sufferings of the innocent.
I don't know, man. I consider myself pretty good. Good at doing words. Good at drinking and the subsequent falling down. Oh, and good at the sex, obviously. But you know, it all depends. I mean, really, the innocent. What if they're a bit of an asshat? And even if they are truly pure and innocent, why did they get special treatment, eh? What exactly have the innocent done to deserve that? Nothing. That's what.
When an innocent person is struck by a painful disease, or tortured, or murdered.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of a really funny joke someone told me. Not that I find the suffering of the innocent hilarious or anything. No, that would be terrible, right? Those things are bad to happen to someone. 'Cause of... No, don't tell me. It means they can't work on the monument to my glory anymore. Yeah? That's it.
We naturally feel sadness and helplessness and often rage.
Okay. I'll stop with the sic is inhumans bit. Yes, people have powerful emotional reactions to suffering, especially when there is nothing they can do about it. I wonder what your point about that is going to be. But I think the key word to focus in on is natural. Because, yeah, any emotions you feel are going to be natural, because you are part of nature. But, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just let him dig his own hole.
Many people have claimed that such suffering is a proof that God does not exist.
Well, not that any God does not exist, but specific depictions, sure. I mean, an indifferent, non-all-powerful but still beyond time and space fella could, in big-ass quotes, definitely still exist. But the idea of one who has the power and desire to prevent bad things happening but just doesn't for no reason is a little bit weak sauce in many the athey person's eyes.
Their argument goes like this.
Okay, fingers crossed. I hope you don't screw this up, and if you don't, I hope you don't go to ignore the premise of the argument to make it seem like you have answered the question without having actually addressed it. And it would be nice to one day say this shit without being immediately proven right, but I have given up actually getting satisfying answers out of these guys at this point. This is Prager U after all. They say the U means university, but I'm starting to think it secretly means unbelievably silly.
God is all good and all powerful. Such a God would not permit unnecessary suffering. Yet we constantly observe unjust suffering.
So right, God am all good and all power boy is your claim. God would not permit suffering. That's a logical conclusion of an all good, all powerful lad. And suffering still happening is a thing that we observe in reality. Yeah, that's a shockingly fair representation of an atheist argument against the God of the Bible, anyway. However, just to make one thing clear, it's not an argument against other kinds of gods. I mean, say Odin, right? It's got nothing to do with him. What he said was that he would defeat all the ice giants. There are no ice giants, therefore Odin defeated all the ice giants. I don't see Yahweh pulling that off, do you?
Therefore, at least one of the premises about God must be false. Either God is not all good, or he is not all powerful, or he just doesn't exist.
Yeah, again, Bible God, as defined by the Bubles and your lot, is logically inconsistent with the reality that we live in. So if he is not as described, then what is right about his description? And since that is such an important part of why one would choose to accept him, it weakens the case for him being, well, anything really.
What's wrong with this argument? First, let's examine what we mean when we say that God would not permit unjust suffering.
Translation. Let's completely mangle the words used so that we can completely bypass the argument and argue a completely different point that no one is making. Me am the big brain smart boy, who am also doing an intellectually honest. Checkmate, athboos.
There are two categories of suffering.
What? That doesn't sound right. I can think of hundreds of categories of suffering I could inflict on my enemies. There's basic stuff like breaking thumbs and chopping off legs. Then more advanced stuff like noogies and paper cuts. And then, of course, the worst thing one can do to a person. Deny them precious, life-sustaining, incredibly important and loved by all, no matter what they say, whiskey. Can you imagine what kind of cruel piece of crap you would have to be to not share your whiskey with me? What, this? No, this is mine. You go away.
Suffering caused by human beings, which we call moral evils.
Of course, the moral evils. You know that makes it sound like evils that are moral, right? Like, sure, I stamped on that sack of puppies and then threw their lifeless corpses into the faces of orphans. But just think what might have happened if I hadn't done that. Why, those orphans might not have eaten that day. No, wait, sorry. I mean, been eaten by the angry gophers that I sent in afterwards. That's what you get for choosing to have no parents.
And suffering caused by nature, for instance, earthquakes or cancer.
Big sigh. God damn it, man. What even is all this nonsense? For starters, these categories of suffering, well, that's not a thing. That's a term you made up, but are using as if anyone has said this ever. Just no. And secondly, I don't think I have ever heard a single person, Crimsbian, Atheboy, or otherwise, refer to natural disasters as evil. That's fucking stupid. Evil, as we tend to explain and understand it, requires desire to inflict suffering. And as much as it would be hilarious if the Earth did a Pompeii on purpose every now and again, that's just not what happens. Nature is just completely indifferent to suffering either way. Unlike me, nothing funnier.
Free will explains how God could be good and allow moral evil.
No it doesn't. I mean, not really. In fact, God existing with the all-powerful moniker absolutely destroys the idea of free will on the face of it. One cannot know everything that's going to happen and claim free will exists. Because if that is how it's going to happen, then that must be how it happens, so there is no free will. Unless God doesn't know how things are going to play out, therefore he's not all-powerful. Again, you cannot have things both ways. Pick one and shut up.
Because God has given people free will, they are free to behave against God's will.
Well, those are some unfortunate choices of examples of evil boys. I mean, let's ignore the guy who is clearly supposed to represent some kind of ninja chef. Not sure why he's there. But the other two would very much have told you what they were doing was exactly God's will, and that's an argument you can have with each other, because I think you are all full of shit.
The fact that they do evil does not prove that God is not good.
Just that he's completely impotent in the face of the evil that they do. I mean, even if you want to go the free will line, so God can't stop people from doing evil things. What a useless, pointless piece of crap he is then. All-powerful unless he actually has to do something. I mean, maybe he's just all lazy. You know, just has the ability to do all in any given situation. Wait a minute. Am I God? Oh, that would explain a few things. Like my overwhelming desire to drown you all in a flood. I'm the good guy in this story.
In addition, if there were no God, there would be no absolute standard of good.
There absolutely is no God as far as we can tell, and there absolutely is no absolute standard for good. That's why if you asked 100 random people if, I don't know, what's a contentious moral issue that seems black and white until you think about it for even a second? Oh, I know, drinking too much. There are people who think it's not an absolute moral good to drink as much as your body can hold. I know, I was surprised too. But there they are, an obvious good to you or I. But there's people who disagree. Looks like things are a little bit more complicated than that, eh? They shouldn't be, but people are weird.
Every judgment presupposes a standard. And that's true of our moral judgments too.
Okay, but that standard doesn't have to come from an invisible, unprovable dude that you made up. In fact, and I've said it before, but morality is very obviously an evolutionary byproduct with a very simple mechanism for its function. Basically, don't do shitty things to me, and I won't do shitty things to you. We both go on with our lives unshittied. It's rather elegant, really, although things get complicated by what you consider to be a shitty thing. But all in all, it works well enough that humans have infested bloody everywhere. Damn you, Darwin, you have betrayed me for the last time. 'Cause you're dead, obviously.
What is our standard for judging evil to be evil?
Let me guess, something really stupid and arbitrary based on a set of beliefs that I don't hold, so when you try to get me to do stuff based on those standards, I laugh in your face so hard that I will end up falling down and crying myself inside out. Something like that?
The most we could say about evil, if there were no God, was that we, in our subjective tastes, didn't like it when people did certain things to other people.
Yeah, that absolutely is how morality works, and we don't like it because ultimately deep down, if we let people do horrible things to others, that means they will have free rein to do those horrible things to us as well. And that is no gusta. We may have other justifications, but I think that deep down it is purely a survival mechanic. The tribe that just constantly kills each other for no reason is going to be outlasted easily by the tribe that, doesn't do that. It's so simple that an idiot could understand it. Well, some idiots can understand it. Not all of them, obviously. Prager does put out some top-quality morons.
We wouldn't have a basis for saying an act was bad, only that we didn't like it. So the problem of human evil exists only if God exists.
How do you not get this? I get this, and I'm a freaking cretin. You're supposed to be a smart philosophy guy, but you cannot fathom how there absolutely is a metric for things being harmful to humans without the need to have it prescribed as being harmful. If you punch me in the face, I'll punch you in the face, and then you'll punch me in the face again, and so on and so forth, until we are black and blue and pretty miserable about the whole affair. What if we don't do that? And oh wow, that's so much better. Man, we should just not do things to each other that will make us suffer. What a good idea. It's like I'm talking to an infant.
As for natural suffering, that poses what appears to be a more difficult question.
Only if you think there is someone both in control of all of nature and who claims to be a really nice guy, but oops, just caused another tsunami. Butterfingers. And what, this? Behind my back? Well, I'll tell you what it isn't. It's not this life-destroying virus that I've been working on because I am the one who creates things. I'll tell you that much for nothing. Certainly won't be dropping that on random people. No. When you put it all together, your God sounds like that one kid who likes to torture neighborhood cats and then claims it couldn't have been him and his many bloodied hammers. What a piece of work.
We see an innocent child suffer, say, from an incurable disease.
Oh, bloody hell, you had to go and name him, didn't you? What have I told you lot about naming your children, eh? You're only going to get attached to them. Just do what I did. Untitled Project 1 and 2. They are twins, but that's a little bit, getting attached to, so we also refer to them as duplicates.
We complain. Understandable.
We complain? Oh my God, that is fucking hilarious. Oh, for God's sake, Dimitri. I told you not to get an incurable cancer, but there you go, getting incurable cancer. Seriously, it's always the same with you. Last week it was falling off a swing, and now this. I swear to God, if this thing kills you, I am never talking to you again.
We don't like it. Understandable. We feel it is wrong, unfair, and shouldn't happen.
Well, the child? No, like I said, the little shit is just trying to dead itself to spite me, clearly. And the vet wouldn't even do that thing that they do. Said it was insane. Look, if you can find a better way to put him out of my misery, you tell me that thing, yeah? Oh, sorry, his misery. Not mine. That would be crazy.
Understandable. But illogical unless you believe in God.
Right, fine, boring, non-insane sick here again. Okay, Mr. Apparent Sociopath, people like their kids, right? People want their kids to survive and thrive. You know what stops that? Being dead. Them being dead actually makes that other stuff really hard, if not downright impossible. Also, there's suffering involved, and another thing that evolution did to humans was give them empathy for similar reasons to the morals thing. In fact, it's very much involved. It's so you can feel the things other people feel, and when other people feel bad, it sucks. I don't know, is any of this getting through to that robot brain of yours, or?
For if you do not believe in God, your subjective feelings are the only basis upon which you can object to natural suffering.
How are you this stupid? Seriously, how does a man reach what looks to be some pretty significantly advanced years being this fucking stupid without getting into a fist fight with a train and having the inevitable result of that exchange being his death. I am so very confused. The main reason people object to things is the objective harm that those things do. It's not like someone loses all their shit in a hurricane and then you come along and go, well, I would feel bad for you. But that's a pretty subjective loss you've suffered there. I mean, who needs a house and family, really?
Okay, you don't like it, but how is your not liking something evidence for God not existing?
Because, and get this right, that's not the argument, you dumb fuck. The argument was, God is all good and all powerful and would not let suffering happen, but he let suffering happen. Therefore, he is not logically consistent. Therefore, that concept of God is bullshit. Your attempted refute was, but bad need God though. And that was just completely asinine. As no, it really doesn't. Concept of bad is a human construct, just like God is a human construct. Only one of them has some objective measurement to its existence, and the other one is God.
Think about it.
You first, dumbass.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstar Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the